All right, a Texas running back drafted by the Cowboys, a brutal report, and a bombshell accusation, lazy and maybe a little uncoachable. Is this a hatchet job or a red flag for Cowboys fans as training camp begins? Longhorn insider Chip Brown is here to break it all down. What's really going on with Jaydon Blue, and how worried should Cowboys fans be heading into this season? He's my go-to guy at 105 through the Fan for all things Longhorns football. You can read his stuff, horns247.com, and he does radio 2 to 4 every day on the Texas Sports Unfiltered app and on YouTube. Chip Brown, how the heck are you? It's good to see you this morning, brother. How's your summer going?
Hey, it's going good. It's going good, Gavin. It's been, it's hard to believe we just finished up SEC Media Days, and we'll be heading into camp here in 8 days. So football season right around the corner.
I love it. And UT Ohio State, the big rematch or whatever you call it, looming for week 1. It is a very exciting football season, not only out there in Oxnard, California for these Cowboys, but absolutely for these Longhorns that have higher expectations than at any point in maybe ever, maybe this century. I mean, this is awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of hope out there. I think the coaches feel like they've got a roster that can compete for the SEC championship and get back into the college football playoff and see how far they can go. Obviously, they've been to the semifinals the last 2 years. Jaydon Blue helped them in that endeavor. And so, they're trying to get to that final game and raise that lipstick trophy.
Yes, sir. That would be glorious. First time, and I guess coming up on 20 years since Vince Young did it against USC. Let's go ahead and share this screen just so everybody knows exactly what we're talking about. I think a lot of people have heard this, but this is Glenn Stretch Smith, the former scout on the Locked On Cowboys podcast there with Marcus Mosher. And here's what we're talking about.
When they see you already in OTAs, kind of limping around as if to say, boy, my hamstrings bother me a little. Hey, I stayed out late last night. I'm not real sure I want to go through this workout right now. Okay, well, if you're injured, get over there with Britt Brown. Get over there with Jim Mauer. Well, I don't know. It's not really that bad. Well,
woo. Okay, so that's just a quick snapshot of what we're talking about. Other insiders, Chip, like our Brian Broaddus saying, well, the player had his share of problems. There's plenty of scouts, coaches, trainers, and teammates who will tell you that. I don't think Glenn is wrong here, and some coaches or staff had felt disrespected in the past. So, the Cowboys don't really know Jaydon Blue yet. The fans are just getting to know him. We're excited about his tape. Oh, my goodness, and his speed and his shiftiness, and he looks like a dog out there. But Chip, you've been covering him. How surprised were you to see this report?
Well, he was, on his best behavior. Obviously, coming out of Klein Cain High School, there were some issues. He, it was COVID. He opted not to play his senior year. People were confused as to whether he was worried about whether he was going to get hurt or, playing football during COVID. He decided ultimately he wanted to come back and play after initially saying he would not play his senior year. And I was told the coach at Klein Cain put it to a vote of the team. The team said no. But he got to Texas. And look, I talked to Tashard Choice, who Cowboys fans know well. He was the running backs coach at Texas for the Blue era as a Longhorn. And Tashard, talked to me about how Jaydon Blue had to mature, and he did that. They felt like he did that. And so he became an absolute go-to guy. And if you look back at last season, he had Texas's only 2 touchdowns in the semifinal game against Ohio State. And he did those with pass receptions. He had 42 pass catches last year as a running back, which is substantial. And he was the difference in putting away Clemson in the college football playoff last year in the home game in Austin. Clemson made a comeback. Jaydon Blue scores on a 77-yard touchdown run. It was spectacular. His speed is undeniable. He's got great hands. They're a little small. I think they measured it 8 1/4, and that's why it could be a fumble issue. He did have some fumbling issues. He was, he was benched in the Mississippi State game after a couple of lost fumbles. But Jaydon Blue was a guy I was cheering for. And then I called the East-West Shrine folks because he was supposed to play in that game. And I was just touching base to make sure he was still playing. And sure enough, his, the director of the East-West Shrine game said his mom had called like the day before check-in and said he wasn't going to make it. They're like, well, we've already got his locker. We've already got his jersey. And I think they were surprised and probably were expecting a little more notice than that. That was a concern for me. And then, now I'm hearing this from Stretch, who, knows football inside and out, knows the Cowboys inside and out. And, you just hope that Jaydon Blue realizes the opportunity that he has here. I mean, the Cowboys need running backs. He's electric. He can make big time plays. And can certainly help the Cowboys, but he's got to make sure that he's helping himself to even get that opportunity.
So he shows up at Austin. He's needing to mature, in the words of Tashard Choice. The red flag back in high school is fascinating to me. Like, how could a high school player 16 and 17 years old not want a sub 4.3 weapon out on the field with him? Did you get any more information on that?
No, and he played with Matthew Golden, the receiver, who also just, now he's left Texas. They played together last year for the Longhorns. And I asked Matthew Golden about Jaydon Blue, and he just said, hey, that dude can play football. That dude can get it done. And he didn't really go into, because I asked him, I said, hey, what were the circumstances around Jaydon Blue's last year in high school? And he's like, hey, all I know is that dude can play football. So I'm not sure about who he has around him. And I know that he really, really responded to the coaching of Tashard Choice, that Tashard Choice could coach him hard, get the best out of him, got him to believe in waiting his turn, because when Jaydon Blue first got there, Bijan Robinson was there. Then Jonathan Brooks, emerged. Those were the top 2 running backs selected in the NFL draft in back-to-back years. And Jaydon Blue waited his turn and made the most of it. And here he is with the Dallas Cowboys, and you just hope that this is going to be something that he gets figured out and that he responds to the coaching there.
Yeah, that was sort of our thought on our reaction show is, man, he was at UT with all the attention. He's battling for carries. He's not always the coach's favorite when it comes to distributing those carries. And this is sort of the first we'd heard of these red flags. I'm sure they were there. And we'd even heard that some NFL teams had him in their concern basket of, hey, this isn't a total clean evaluation with off the field. But I guess from a Cowboys perspective, if you get through Austin without any major concerns, maybe this is just a guy that doesn't have the ideal maturity level or personality to interact in a corporate environment, but we could have trust that he's going to, have his lunch pail on game day.
Yeah. I mean, he's got to figure it out here. I mean, because you don't get these opportunities very often. And before you even had a chance to play in a preseason game, I mean, you got to get that on film. You got to get those plays on film so that if it doesn't work out with the Cowboys, at least he gets another chance somewhere else. But, I felt like Jaydon Blue was progressing in the right direction during his time at Texas. Maybe Tashard Choice was his guy, but still, I mean, you're going to be coached by other coaches, and you've got to do the right thing. I mean,
well, and Tashard's amazing, right? Like if you had the ideal running back coach who could put his arm around a kid and say, hey, I'm going to show you the path to how to interact in this environment, my choice would be Tashard Choice.
Yeah, and Tashard Choice, that was a tough loss from the Texas coaching staff, because Tashard, not only did he coach him up, but man, he could identify talent, recruit talent, keep it engaged in this age of NIL and the transfer portal. Like I said, I mean, Jaydon Blue could have left Texas and said, you know what, I can catch on somewhere else. I'm behind Bijan Robinson. I'm behind Jonathan Brooks, but he stayed. He got his opportunity. He made, huge plays, like I mentioned, against Ohio State, against Clemson. And he, by all accounts, was a solid citizen during his time in Austin. And so, I was a little alarmed when I heard about the East-West Shrine game and the late cancellation. That's just not professional. And Steve Sarkisian talks all the time. You got to be a pro. You got to take care of your body like a pro. You got to prepare like a pro. And so you thought, and I still think I'm still optimistic because Jaydon Blue, if you talk to him, is a thoughtful guy. He owned up to his miscues when he had fumble issues. He showed up at a press conference carrying the football because Tashard Choice had him carry the football all around the campus when he had fumble issues. I apologize. We got a lawn crew like right outside.
Oh, it's fine. I can't hear it. Yeah, my 3-year-old's banging on the door as well. So my apologies back to you.
Well, so my hope is that Jaydon Blue gets it together, realizes this opportunity, and becomes a model citizen for the Cowboys, because it's a great opportunity for him to play on a team like the Cowboys and a team that needs help at running back.
And a great opportunity for the Cowboys to get such a talent in the 5th round. You mentioned the fumble issues. I think he only had 1 in the last 6 games or something. I might be misquoting that stat, but it slowed down late. You mentioned the hand size. Is this going to be something you think that will be a part of his profile throughout his pro career?
I don't think it has to be. I mean, it wasn't something that was just, egregious. Like the first thing you think of when you think of Jaydon Blue, it's not. It was that Mississippi State game where it just, he put 2 balls on the ground and they're deep enough at running back where, hey, take a minute, get yourself together. And then they brought him back and he made those huge plays, against Clemson. And as I said, 42 catches. I mean, that's a lot for a running back and so talented. And so, the hope is that he figures it out and realizes, hey, this is my time and I'm going to be the model citizen, because look, that locker room is going to straighten him out. We know that the veterans don't put up with, any kind of prima donna attitude or anything like that. So that's going to be something to watch. I felt like Jaydon Blue had matured into a dependable, player, person. And so, a little disappointing to hear the reports that he's maybe being a little bit of a thorn in the side of the Cowboys right now.
Yeah. Had you ever heard from a coach that he had lazy practice habits or was uncoachable or was confrontational with support staff?
No, not in his time at Texas. So that, that's something, geez, flip,
Sure.
I figured you've learned that lesson. Don't trot that out now.
Well, I love to hear that because he's coming off an injury. It's a new environment. You're nervous. You're excited about being a pro. I mean, you're a young man. Maybe mom's involved and dad's not there, and you didn't have the best role model. So it's just sort of a slower learning curve as you're taking the next step, and maybe the stress of life put him in an uncomfortable environment. He didn't handle it the best. But Chip, I like to say with NFL rookies, I'm going to give you everything that happens in the first 12 months and give you a pass. Coming back in year 2, if it's still an issue, then I think it's a concern for the organization. But it's not uncommon for a 22-year-old in any industry to step in it in his first couple of weeks at work.
Yeah, and I thought coming into the 2024 season that he had a real shot at being a 1,000-yard rusher. We know he can catch the football. I mean, he can run deep routes and catch the football. So there's so much talent there, so much speed, that you just hope he figures it out and that he connects with whoever he needs to connect with there with the Cowboys, whether it's Dak or, he needs his Tashard Choice, it sounds like, with the Dallas Cowboys. And sometimes it doesn't work like that. You got to make it work with whoever's there.
Chip Brown, 247 Sports. Read him every day. I'll put the link in the description for his socials and everything. What else you got going on this summer, brother, as you get ready for this Texas-Ohio State Week 1 game and this incredible season?
Yeah, just Arch Madness. Everyone wants to see what it's going to be like, and we won't know until we get to Columbus on August 30th. But that should be a must-watch game for sure.
Well, you're the man, dude. Thank you so much for providing your insights here on How About Wow.
You bet. You bet.
There he
Thanks,
goes.
Doug.
An absolute legend in Austin, the best insider, Chip Brown. Again, I'll put his links down there in the bio. How About Wow is brought to you by our friends at Bet Online. Go to the description as well for our sign-up referral bonus. You can get up to $250 in bonus bets there at betonline.ag. Until next time, where we talk about the Cowboys getting back to the glory days every day. How about wow?